people who look at this and are saying, oh, well, once it gets to 1 million, I'm going to sell and I'm going to take some massive, returns. They don't, what they're really saying is they have no clue what's actually playing out here.
The Bitcoin price continues to consolidate as weak hands sell to strong hands, as short-term holders sell to long-term investors.
Because if this goes to 1 million, it's going to 10 million, it's going to 100 million, it's going to look like a Zimbabwe note of 100 trillion units.
Macro investor Preston Pish explains what most people don't understand with Bitcoin and this new market.
If you think it's just going to go up to 500,000 and then it's going to kind of stop there, and that's kind of like where it ends, and like that's the end of Bitcoin, it's now, stabilized at 500,000. You really do not understand like what's playing out here.
And be ready for this market, like we've seen before, to start to get explosive.
And I think the higher that you go like that, the more aggressive the bid is actually going to get, and kind of get away from legacy policymakers and people controlling currencies, fiat currencies as we know them.
Because as this bull market continues, the data that suggests that Bitcoin may be seeing diminishing returns, meaning the Bitcoin price has less gains as the asset gets larger, may just not understand where Bitcoin is on the S-curve of adoption.
But people that are suggesting that Bitcoin is going to have smaller and smaller returns into the future, I think are getting duped a little bit as to like what kind of plays out in the middle of that S-curve. I think that's what's happening with those kind of ideas and comments.
And you subscribe to Altcoin Daily for an edge investing in crypto. It's completely free to do. It costs you nothing, but could make you everything. Because while I understand that Bitcoin is probably going to do well long term, what are the altcoins with potential? We know Solana has a big advantage, because if something from Solana is missing, the Solana devs are on record that they'll just add it.
The great thing about competitors and like the way that we think at Solana, and like I'm not Solana, but I would say it's common to Totally as well, is like if people do things better than us, we will just steal them. We will just say, okay, that looks good. If it helps our users, we'll also do that, right? And so we don't have holy principles other than what's here, which that says increased bandwidth, reduced latency. And because once you do that, then everything else kind of takes care of itself.
So Solana's a yes. Bitcoin's a yes. We have two yeses. What about Ethereum?
ETH just being an asset that companies can have as part of their treasury is good.
Well, we know Ethereum treasury companies are sucking up all the supply right now. They're trying to buy all the supply before banks, before governments, before you can buy enough. What does Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin think about this? And also pay attention to his warning that he issues.
The social aspect of coordinating around ETH just being an asset that companies can have as part of their treasury is good and valuable, and like having different vehicles for people to have access to ETH, which is I think one of the reasons why people are buying into treasury companies instead of just hodling ETH directly is also good, right? Like giving people more options is good. There's always people in all kinds of different financial circumstances that put all kinds of like requirements or incentives or properties on like what formats of things that they participate in. And so I think there's definitely very valuable services that are being provided there. And if you woke me up 3 years from now and told me that treasuries led to the downfall of ETH, then of course my guess for why would basically be that somehow they turned into an over leverage game, and then at some point a 30% drop turned into forced liquidations that turned into a 50% drop, and then a 70 and 90% drop, and then that got compounded with a loss of credibility. But I think the people in Ethereum in general, even including the people doing finance in Ethereum, are responsible people. Like, these are not Duke One followers that we're talking about. And so I think, as long as like leverage doesn't go too high, and these things like don't start getting into those kinds of mechanics.
So Bitcoin's a yes, Solana's a yes, Ethereum's a yes. Just don't let it, and you can say this for any coin, but don't let it get too leveraged. What about some newer coins? Higher risk, but higher reward, more potential. I will say that anybody that wants to win a free Bored Ape, you now have 3 days left to get the How the World Went Apeshit collectible edition film to be entered to win this Bored Ape valued at around $60,000.
We mentioned we're giving away a Bored Ape, right? Which is huge for one lucky person.
Somebody's going to win this, and might as well be somebody from the Altcoin Daily audience. And all you have to do is get the film, buy the film, and you'll be automatically entered to win this. Link down below, literally 3 days left, last chance. The lower cap altcoins with potential, we do have Ondo. Ondo is tokenizing financial products, institutional grade finance on chain. That's a huge trend, and even the SEC themselves recognizes the potential of tokenization. Here's SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce recently signaled on Bloomberg that the SEC is willing to work with firms on U.S. equity tokenization. Ondo is one of the main players in town.
And that's a point that you've made in the past, that tokenized securities are still securities. You do have some firms, I'm thinking of Robinhood, for example, rolling out tokenized stock trading. I believe that's taken hold in Europe. So, I mean, do you see that as a potential area where you could run into some of these confrontations over firms trying to really regulate and innovate and introduce measures such as that, but potentially coming up against some of these regulations that you're putting in place?
Well, without talking about any particular firm's approach, I think the bottom line is that we encourage firms to come in and talk to us. We expect that there will be some different approaches taken to tokenizing, and we're looking forward to working with folks to try those different models out and see what the market's like.
And speaking of tokenization, founder of Chainlink, Sergey Nazarov, says, right now, in his opinion, we are at sub 1% levels of everything being tokenized, meaning 99% to go, and Chainlink is positioned to be one of the players.
I think everyone is starting to realize that the amount of things that can be tokenized and put into decentralized finance protocols such as Aave, for lending purposes, is very, very far beyond where we are now. Right now, we are, in my opinion, at sub 1% levels of everything that can be tokenized. And the transition we're really going towards in the world, in our industry, is actually all of this being tokenized. So this huge amount of assets becoming tokenized is really what this is about. When that happens, the cryptocurrency or blockchain or digital asset industry, depending on who you are, will be about these tokenized things. Our industry is fundamentally defined by the highest value thing that it represents. Right now, that's cryptocurrencies. But even if cryptocurrencies triple, or even if they frankly 10x, and Bitcoin goes to $1 million and Ethereum goes to, whatever it goes to, you still have a huge gap between that market size and the market size of everything that can be tokenized. And so what you're really going to end up in this industry, if it reaches even a third of its full potential and mainstream adoption, is the tokenization of the real world.
So Chainlink is a yes, Ondo Finance is a yes for me. And all you have to do to learn about this every day, to be the crypto guy among your friend group, is click subscribe. That is the video. Take advantage of the opportunities, and like always, see you tomorrow.